What's up, snappers? Welcome back to the channel. DDDREWSKY here. Today we're going to be looking at a brand new card, Moonstone, to see if she's worth your precious resources. We're going to be looking at her key Synergies Counters and some decks that I brewed for her. But wait, before we do that, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. I do weekly reviews of the brand new card in Marvel Snap, so if you don't want to miss out, hit that notification bell right now. I'm sorry for the interruption, but I've been dealing a lot lately with the fires that are happening in Southern California. It's been really bad lately. So I'm sorry if I'm really low on energy or my lack of content. Hopefully I can keep this weekly rotation of making the brand new card videos. But yeah, I'll try my best to come back full force when I can. And I appreciate you guys with your patience. So please pray that everything is going to go well with the Southern California fires. Hopefully they stop and then we can continue on this great journey of Marvel Snap. So now let's get back into it. So now the question is, who is Moonstone? Let's check her out. So Moonstone in Marvel Snap is a 4-cost, 6-power card with an ongoing ability of has the ongoing effects of your 1, 2, and 3-cost cards here. So I believe she has a really unique ability to repeat ongoing effects that you need, like 1, 2, and 3-cost cards. So repeating the amount of power is insane with her ability. Being able to repeat the ability of like an Ant-Man or Mystique, those are great cards to synergize with her. Crazy power combinations. I think she's definitely your type of flavor card, especially those low cost card ongoing cards. All right, now let's take a look at some of the pros and cons about Moonstone. Let's take a look. So she can repeat 1, 2, and 3 cost cards in that lane. I think it's pretty strong ability, having multiple ongoing effects. So you want to re-trigger them, or if you want to keep, generating that power with her, I think it's going to be really cool to see like what kind of combinations people come up with. So you can control what gets repeated by her. So it's not as RNG dependent like Super Scroll, for example. So you have the choice of like what cards are being repeated. Those 1, 2, and 3 costs. I will explain the cards that you can repeat. So it gives you that agency of being able to control what gets repeated by her. Another pro about her is that it's a solid power for a 4-cost. 6 power is great. It's usually on curve with most 4-cost cards. Usually when it's anything lower than that, then it's pretty low on power. So 6 and above, I think is a very good power for a 4-cost card. So she has the ability to make older 1 to 3 cost cards better. Most, I would say 1 to 2 to 3 cost cards that are ongoing, they're very old. They're like series 1 and 2, and possibly 3. So she definitely brings more value to those cards that are older. If you're an early collection level player, she's a great card because she brings more value to those cards and you can repeat those effects. Now let's talk about the cons about her. So it's a small pool of viable 1 to 3 cost cards that are ongoing. I will show you the ones that I think that are viable, but there's not that many really good substantial 1 to 3 cost cards that are out there that are ongoing. Another bad thing about her is that she has to be played in the same lane with the other cards, right? So it's very predictable. Again, Enchantress is out there. She could definitely counter that lane. It's gonna be brutal once you throw down Moonstone and then that entire lane gets wiped out from Enchantress or other counters, right? It's very predictable on what Moonstone ability will do. So that lane you have to be very careful with. Another con about her is that it depends on draw. So it depends on what cards you have in store. Ongoing is usually okay with draw, but really, again, you could play her on like maybe the end turns, or you could play her early on curve, but more than likely you probably can save her for like the end turns just to surprise your opponent, right? All right, now let's take a look at some of the synergies and counters for Moonstone. Let's take a look. So the first synergy is Mystique. Copying the Moonstone would be great. Ideally, you would want to copy Moonstone with Mystique. Or you could run, Mystique to copy, for example, like Patriot. Any type of ongoing card that's a lower cost card, like 3 and lower, obviously synergizes well with Moonstone. And I had to bring up, again, Patriot, another 3 cost value pick, pair up with Moonstone. That plus 2 power, if you could copy it with Moonstone, is amazing. Ravonna is another great synergy piece with Moonstone, especially getting that cost reduction. If you want to even play Moonstone on the Ravonna lane, you get even more discounts, which is insane. So now let's talk about the counters. Red Guardian, of course, can disable Moonstone. Moonstone is an ongoing card, so of course Enchantress is going to be actually the biggest counter against this card because Moonstone has to be played in that lane with all those other ongoing cards. So Enchantress, the value is going to go up tremendously. Super Scroll is another counter because it's an ongoing counter. Anything that gets copied with Moonstone, then Super Scroll will get that as well. So you definitely have to be careful of Super Scroll, especially during her first release week. Now let's take a look at some of the ongoing targets that are great with Moonstone. Let's take a look. So the first set of cards that I think they're noteworthy to work well with Moonstone are these, right? So we have Ant-Man, great, +4 power. If you can repeat that ability with Moonstone, a great pick. Captain America, getting that +2 power is another amazing synergy with Moonstone. You definitely want to get more power from the ongoing. Cerebro can work with Moonstone. I'm not sure if, you know, C6 will work, but maybe it's a possibility. Repeating the Dazzler +2 power is great with Moonstone as well, especially when they're played in the same lane. You definitely want to, you know, get that combination going as well. Mr. Fantastic could work with Moonstone. Plain Moonstone on top of the Mr. Fantastic, you get more power on the other sides of the locations. So that definitely could work it right there. So Mojo is an amazing piece with Moonstone, especially stacking in that lane. Mojo loves stacked lanes, getting that +6 power, getting that ability with Moonstone. Woo, that lane's gonna be insane. Mystique is great to combine with Moonstone, like I mentioned earlier. Patriot, you want to get that +2 power, get it again. You can get it again with Moonstone. Punisher, you're gonna be wanting to, you know, stack that lane with Punisher. So getting that ongoing ability with Moonstone is gonna be awesome. I think Ravonna is a great pick to pair up with Moonstone, especially that getting that cost reduction. Definitely very valuable, and you definitely want to stack that lane to get more cost reduction. All right, now let's look at some other options for ongoing targets for Moonstone. So we have Rogue, Speed, Strong Guy, US Agent, and Victoria Hand. For Rogue, of course, you need to steal the ongoing effect before placing Moonstone on there. So really depends on the matchup that you're facing. If you can copy something good, then Moonstone can repeat that ability with Rogue. Speed is another great card to synergize with Moonstone, getting that power, all the power that you use on curve, and then double it up with Moonstone is gonna be insane. Strong Guy getting that +6. I'm not sure if the deck will really work, but really depends if you can curve it out correctly or make sure your hand is empty. Getting that power is great with Strong Guy. US Agent, if you could double up the effect of US Agent, it's gonna be insane. Of course, you want to pair it up with Luke Cage, but doubling the US Agent on that same lane is gonna be brutal for your opponent. Victoria Hand, if you could double up her effect, she's been very valuable since release, and I think doubling her effect is amazing. So if you could get 2 Victoria Hands in the same lane with Moonstone, I think it's gonna be really, really good. All right, now let's take a look at some of the decks that I brewed. I think they're pretty fun and competitive. Let's take a look. So the first deck that we have is called Energystone. So the goal of this deck is to curve out energy, make sure you utilize that energy, and counter your opponent. So for turn 1, Quicksilver, again, is a great option, especially when you want to make sure you're playing on curve for this deck. For turn 2, Iron Patriot, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Valentina, Victoria Hand, they're all great on curve options. You could definitely play them on turn 2. Hawkeye is a great option here, especially synergizing well with Iron Patriot or Victoria Hand. I know those are definitely brand new cards, but she definitely gets a lot of value generating those arrows, and they benefit off of those arrows. I think Valentina is a great flex option here, especially generating a 6-cost card. You could throw off your opponent quite well. Red Guardian, again, one of the best counters in this current meta, countering a lot of ongoing cards or very low-cost cards. Speed is a great pairing with Wiccan, especially when you're playing on curve. Shang-Chi is definitely more valuable when you play him on the later turns. On turn 4, you probably want to play Wiccan over Moonstone just to get that energy rolling. You definitely want that max energy from him, especially if you played on curve for the other turns. Thor is an amazing finisher with this list, especially with all the on reveals that we have. It's definitely going to juice up that gore. Goliath is another option if you want to need a finisher if you haven't drawn gore. Goliath is an amazing finisher to just remove all those effects from your opponent. All right, now let's look at my second list. Now this list is called Miss Moonstone. This is my take on Negative Tribunal. I think she's gonna work pretty well with this archetype. So for turn 1, obviously can't do anything. So for turn 2, you definitely want to play Ravonna, get that energy discount for this deck. Mystique should definitely be saved for the later turns. I'll explain her later. For Magic, you definitely want to extend the game. You definitely want to play her maybe by turn 5 or even earlier on curve is okay on turn 3. Mr. Negative, definitely want to play him on curve, or you can cheat him out early with Jubilee or other cards like Ravonna on by turn 3. Jubilee can be played in this list, especially cheating out cards that are higher than her. Super Scroll is basically just for the mirror matchup. If you're facing against a heavy ongoing list, Super Scroll is awesome to counter that type of list. Moonstone synergizes well with Ravonna and Mystique, so you definitely want to save her for just those two cards. She doesn't really work with any of the other cards in this list, but she can bring immense value to that Mystique really at the end turns. Iron Man, of course, you definitely want to save him for the later turns. You definitely want to boost up those lanes with Iron Man. Blue Marvel on turn 5 is great to just spread power wide to all different lanes because you're going to be doing it anyways with Tribunal. Sarah is if you want to be extra greedy with this list, discounting cards. You definitely could play Sarah on curve on turn 5. So for turn 6, Onslaught is super greedy. You can play him on Sarah, Blue Marvel, Iron Man, even Moonstone. And then Living Tribunal, of course, that's the ideal goal of this list. Even if he gets hit by Mr. Negative, turning that 9 power to 6, you definitely want to run Living Tribunal as a crazy finisher to spread all that power. All right, now let's take a look at my third and final list. So this list is called Moonbots. So this is my take on Doom 2099, the Patriot style list, including Moonstone. So for turn 1, Zabu, you definitely want to run Zabu on curve to discount 2099, Super Scroll, even Shang-Chi, Moonstone, so immense value for Zabu here. Psylocke is great just to cheat out energy. You want to get out possibly Doom 2099 out early, Super Scroll, or even Moonstone. You definitely probably want to save Shang-Chi for the later turns, but yeah, Psylocke is great in this list. Patriot is okay on curve, or you can save him as a surprise pick at the end of the game. But yeah, it'll definitely bring value to the Doom bots, the Ultron bots. Luke Cage is kind of a flex option here. There are a lot of cards, including like Rocket and Groot, that do a lot of negative damage, so he's definitely a counter just for those type of lists. Doom 2099 on curve or cheat him out early. You definitely want to play him as soon as possible. Super Scroll, again, is just for the mirror matchup. If you're facing a heavy ongoing list, immense value right there. Shang-Chi, later turns, of course, maybe by turn 6 or turn 5, you could run Shang-Chi. But for turn 4, Moonstone is great to pair up with Patriot, especially getting that +2 power to all the bots, the Doom bots and the Ultron bots. So for turn 5, you could definitely run Iron Man, either to juice up a lane to go tall vertically. Blue Marvel is if you want to spread your power wide. Blue Marvel is a great option, especially for all those bots. Dr. Doom and Ultron are amazing finishers, especially on turn 6. When you want to spread your power wide with those bots, definitely brings immense value to this list. All right, now let's take a look at the spotlights that are featured with Moonstone. Let's take a look. So Moonstone is paired up with Black Swan and Nocturne. Moonstone is a Series 5, Black Swan is a Series 5, and Nocturne is Series 5. I believe Black Swan and Nocturne are very good cards to have in your collection. Black Swan is more if you like, lowest cost cards, bounce, or even, She-Hulk decks. Black Swan brings immense value to the current meta, so definitely worth having. Nocturne is an amazing utility card, especially being able to move the card once, and then you can change the location. It gives you a lot of control of location variants. Now let's talk about the Spotlight variants. I believe the Moonstone Spotlight variant is amazing. Definitely would get it if I had the resources. But if you have the resources, definitely you should get it. I believe that the Black Swan and Nocturne variants, they're not my flavor of cup of tea. But yeah, I would definitely pass on those. But again, art is subjective. If you want to go for them, then totally go for them. But now remember that you should have 4 keys before opening in a week, especially if you want to get a card that you really want. You don't want to have FOMO and miss out on a certain card. So remember to use 4 keys. All right, now let's take a look at my star ratings for Moonstone. Let's take a look. So for competitive, I gave her 3.5 stars. I think she'd be pretty competitive, but it really depends on the pool of 1, 2, and 3 cost cards. As you can see from the pool of cards, there's not many, honestly. So I would say 3.5 stars. We'll see. It really depends on the cards that come out in the future. Hopefully we get some better ones in the future and it brings up her value, right? So for fun, I gave her a 3-star. I think the doubling up an ability of ongoing is fun. But I think maybe the lore will get boring after a while, so I would say fun 3 stars. For flexibility, I gave her 3.5 stars. You can see in some of the decks, they're pretty different, right? So I would say she has the ability to be flexible in certain decks, and we'll see what deck is like her home, essentially. For future changes, I would say 2 stars. I think she's pretty well balanced. I don't really see any changes with her, honestly, unless maybe a buff in the future, but I think she's fairly balanced. All right, now let's take a look at my final review of Moonstone. Is she worth a snap or skip? Let's take a look. So I say snap on Moonstone. I believe her ability is worth it. Let's hope there are better 1, 2, and 3 cost cards in the future. I believe repeating a ongoing ability is awesome. We'll see if they come out with another card in the future that does 4, 5, and 6. I think that'd be pretty cool. But let me know your thoughts on Moonstone. Did I miss any synergies? Did I miss any decks that could work with her? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. I would love for you to be a part of this amazing community here on YouTube. And I'll see you guys on the next Snapper Skip. Happy snapping.